passion, but make it profit. Simple strategy, real growth, passion.
Hi, I'm Julia, and this is Passion, but Make It Profit, your go-to resource for actionable strategies to grow a profitable business without losing the heart behind it all. Today, I'm so excited to introduce everyone to Carli Sidoti. She is the founder of Buttoned Up Consulting. Hi, Carli.
Hi, Julia. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I met Carli through a mutual friend of ours, and we're both kind of in the same space, so she thought it would be good for us to connect, and it's been a great connection. So I'm having Carli on today. We're going to talk a little bit about paid advertising, how to choose where to put your money when it comes to advertising, especially if you're on a tight budget or if you're a newer business who doesn't have a huge marketing budget. So, Carli, can you kind of introduce yourself and tell us your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from 20 years of experience in the advertising agency world, most recently as a VP at a big ad agency in the Cleveland area. And after doing that for so long, I thought, okay, I've been there, done that, and kind of graduated to consultant role. And I started my own consultancy called Buttoned Up Consulting. So I am a brand and marketing strategist, and what I do is I help small businesses from strategy to execution. So kind of like a plug and play marketing director or fractional CMO, being able to help guide any business, whether they need to figure out how to get more leads, sales, noticed, visibility, anything that they need help with, I'm able to kind of point them in that direction. So even small businesses to large businesses, big budgets, small budgets. It's always a fun challenge.
Yeah, so that's probably really nice, especially for those newer businesses, like I was just saying, especially if they don't have they can't hire a full-time marketing person, or if they just need some guidance.
Exactly. Yep. So it works out perfectly because that's kind of what worked out for my life balance was when I was working full-time at an ad agency. It's a very, what's the word that somebody told me? Well, not demanding, of course, but it's I can't think of the word right now. But it's high demand, and me having a 10-year-old son, I thought I need a little bit of a life balance. So going off on my own gave me that, where I was able to have time to just pick my clients and my time schedule, and not worry as much about the high demands of working at an ad agency.
Yeah, I was the director of marketing before I went out on my own for a healthcare recruiting company. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like when they need you, they need you.
Yes.
You're always on call. Yep. It's a very busy position. Yeah. And it is hard to do that and still be present with your kids.
Yeah.
And still have like a life outside of that.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, it's exhausting.
I did not have kids when I was working as a director of marketing. I don't know how I would have been able to balance it. So it's a tough balancing act.
Right.
So we can kind of jump right into paid ads. So we were kind of chatting before this. I get the question a lot. One of like the most common questions I get is, should somebody advertise somewhere? All the small towns always have like their little newspapers or their little like money saver ad things, and those definitely can work.
Yes.
But how are you choosing? Because I've had people tell me before, like, should I get this one ad in this magazine that reaches like 10,000 people, but it's their full marketing budget?
Right.
And obviously that's not the best way to go.
As much as I love to help all local businesses, it's including those who run those publications. As a business owner who has the small amount of marketing budget to use, you kind of have to think, how am I going to get the most bang for my buck? And sometimes small businesses will say, well, this reaches the whole city, or the whole audience is my city, but is it really? So you kind of got to think exactly, who is it reaching? Is it my target audience? Because is it going to be worth my investment? And a lot of times, clients that I work with, I have to help guide them. Is it going to be worth your return on investment? So thinking about how much money you might get back if you advertise in a small publication, are you going to bring in $10,000 worth of income just from that? Depending on how much you spend on the ad publication. So really, it's who is your audience, and is it going to be worth it? Are you going to hit your audience there? And we don't even know if they're all going to be reading it, because nowadays every generation is on a different platform. So we know that boomers are mostly on Facebook. So that's where I would want to put my ad spend if that's who I'm targeting, kind of that generation of boomers. Whereas millennials and the Gen Zs could be more skewed YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
And so it's really a variable now. And I hate to say print is dead because it's not. It really is, again, who is your target audience? Because if it's going to be somebody who's 65 and up, who, values, like household income could be a little bit different too. So, based on my research, if it's somebody on the east side who has disposable income, ages 65 and up, they will probably be reading a publication like Currents or any other, something like printed pieces, magazines, local magazines like that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I think that you also have, I know you also have to have a plan built around any marketing strategy.
Yes.
You can't just say, okay, I'm going to put an ad out in the newspaper, but then have nothing else to support that.
Right.
So I've had a ton of success with print marketing, especially when I owned my brick and mortar, but it was not the only thing we were doing.
Right.
We were making sure that we would do a lot of mailers. So like that list of who we mailed our little flyers out to, also we're getting Facebook ads.
Good. Yeah.
And we're also getting Instagram or whatever Google ads. So you can't just take like print you can't take any marketing and hope it's like a Hail Mary and put all your money into it.
Yeah, this is like throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. It can't be like that. Kind of having that blanketed approach of what you said of having multiple channels. I don't know if you've ever heard the buzzword omni-channel, omni-channel marketing approach. So you're right, you have to have a strategy because you can't just go, I'm going to go on this magazine publication. You kind of have to have a duration of, all right, we're going to be running ads for 3 months. So people are going to be seeing it, but maybe they might not see it. They might see one ad in Facebook, but they don't see all the other ads that you're placing. So that's the reason why you have to think about frequency and how often you want to publish, because sometimes people aren't seeing it. You're not getting the impressions and the views of the target audience who's going to be saying, yes, that's what I want and that's what I need. And
yeah, and I always like to tell people to utilize your free resources first.
Yes.
And kind of test the waters, see what's working. There's so many other ways to put your money before you start spending money on advertising. Make sure you know your target audience. Yeah. Make sure, even if that means like outsourcing and paying somebody or like working with somebody to maybe get some surveys out there, make sure you have a really good understanding of your target audience.
Yeah.
And then start messing with Facebook posts, Instagram posts, and then maybe a little bit of paid paid ads through Facebook. Put a little bit of money towards 3 different ads with 3 different verbiages and see which one is performing best before you go and take that big chunk of money and put it towards something.
Yeah. Yep.
And make sure, another thing I've seen people do is they're like, oh, well, I put a ton of money into this magazine, this newspaper, this print. I don't really know if it worked or not. Because they had no way to track it.
Oh, God.
You have to make sure you're tracking.
Yeah.
The online ads make it really easy to track. You can pull up your reports. But when you're doing print, you really need to make sure you have a solid plan where you're going to see what's working and what's not.
Right.
So do you have some ways you can track that?
Yeah. One way I think of is a QR code. So with one of my clients who does print, I like to put a QR code on it to see if people actually will use it instead of directly inputting into their website what the URL is. So that's a way that you could track it. Other ways you can do a custom URL, and I haven't seen that in a long time, but I know some businesses have, where it could be / Gazette. So like somebody knows it came from the Gazette. But if you do something like that, you have to have a landing page that's live and actually goes to that page, so somebody's going there and it actually exists. So I know that might be an extra step, but those are some things that you could do if you do want to track from print.
And I think that I kind of feel like the QR codes have replaced the custom URLs.
Yeah.
If you can do like a custom QR code.
Right.
I do know another person that I work with, they have a custom phone number because they get more calls than they do.
Yeah.
Like on website views, a lot of people schedule via call. So they have a couple different phone numbers with different endings that they put in different places so they can see where those calls are coming from.
That's smart too. Yep.
So that's a good way to do it, making sure you know your metrics.
Yes.
So what are some things you would suggest for someone to do before they go and put a big amount into paid advertising? I mentioned kind of like target audiences and stuff, but from like that side, how should you prepare before you put money into marketing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Always number one is know your audience, like what we talked about.
This is a hill I will die on. It is one thing I talk about all the time. I will not take a client unless we go through like my target audience thing, because I can't really help you that well if I don't know who you're even talking to.
Right. And it's kind of, messaging is so saturated everywhere and anywhere you go, and it's hard to grab somebody's attention. So the best way to do that is know who you're talking to, who you want to get in front of, because then more than likely you're going to get their attention. So when I say knowing your audience too, it's not just demographics of, okay, how old are they and what's their household income and where do they live exactly. It's also, what are their pain points? What do they hate? Yes. What keeps them up at night? And what do they love? Like, I love, binge watching Law and Order SVU. Who doesn't? But with that, once you kind of get to know exactly who your target audience is, what they're into, it will kind of help guide your strategy of where you need to be placing your ads or where you should show up. And that could even help with the messaging too, because if somebody is working all day and they come home and they don't have time to eat or cook, then maybe I'm going to get served an ad that's like, hey, DoorDash, because they know me and they know that I'm working, I'm tired, and I forgot to order food or cook food for my kid. Yeah. So, that's just like a quick example, and I'm sure DoorDash has a ton of money to do market research. Yeah. But just knowing who your audience is going to be just the keys to putting together your messaging and where you need to advertise. And before you put any paid media support behind anything, like you said, go to your owned channels. And the owned channels are what you own that costs nothing. Your website, your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your email. So if you have an email database, you can communicate directly to your audience through there. But those are ways that you can go about starting before figuring out, all right, I have this huge message. I want to get in front of a bigger audience. Where can I find them? And how much am I willing to spend? Yeah. And that's when you would work with somebody like me or you, or sometimes I bring in a media specialist because I want to know, how much do we want to turn the dial here to bring in an actual amount of people so we could see revenue or see performance. And a lot of clients too will say, oh, I want to put in just a little bit of money. Well, if you put in a little bit of money, you're not going to see results right away too. And that's kind of like the trade-off. It's like you put in a lot now, and then we know what works and what doesn't. We turn it off, we pivot, we change. Yeah. If you put in a little bit at a time, you're going to be doing a little bit at a time for months, 6 months, 12 months. So really, I like to tell my clients, let's see what works. Just go in, and we could turn it off if it doesn't work. But I'd rather do that and know what works instead of just throwing money away every single month.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do a lot of Facebook ads, and that's what I'll do. I'll start at like a higher budget. And then let it run for like a week or two, see what's working, see what's not, before I like dial it into what budget we want to work with.
And sometimes Facebook won't even spend the money that you put in.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, your audience isn't there, or they're not. And then you know right away, okay, what's not working? Let me change it up.
Yeah.
So it's not like Facebook's going to spend all your money right away. At least, if you're on it, then okay, we can pivot, we can optimize. And that's the beauty of digital marketing.
I want to back up a little bit to when you were talking about DoorDash. I thought that was an awesome example. So you're talking about, okay, DoorDash really serves you an ad. They're really getting their target audience.
Yeah.
So then think about somebody who was probably the ad right before or after that DoorDash. And if they weren't hitting their person, you are swiping right past because you resonate. You're like, oh, DoorDash, that's exactly what I need. Yes. But if another one was just like someone who's trying to reach everyone, they're going to miss you completely because you're so zoned into the one that you actually want and need.
Yep. You just gloss over it. And that has to do with, again, like the oversaturation of all the different ads going in. And to me, I'm not relatable to a regular ad about blankets or comforters. Yeah. I don't want to buy, it's hot outside. Yeah. So I'm going to go past that. I don't need that in my life right now.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too like high level on like building the ads themselves, because I know a lot of people who are listening probably aren't doing their own ads. I think it's more if people are approaching them. People are saying like, oh, hey, put an ad here, put an ad here. So this is still doable without knowing everything, especially like Facebook ads. I usually do suggest, once you're getting a high enough budget, to find a professional to help you, just because of the algorithm and everything. But there are a lot of courses and stuff that you can take. I think Tara Zerker, I don't know if you've heard of her or not. She does a really good Facebook ads course you can go through. I went through that a while ago, just to kind of get you started. Yeah. So there's definitely resources to look at before you start putting your money in without really knowing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's always talk to somebody, make sure you have a good base of what you have going on. Make sure you're maximizing that social media. Make sure you're maximizing your email list. Figure out what people even want.
Right.
I mean, that's as much as talking to your customers.
Yeah.
Where are your customers coming from? And putting more effort into there, and then instead of trying to go to a whole new outlet.
Right.
This is when I work with my clients, a lot of times I have them give me all the things that they're doing right now and like, where's working?
Yeah.
What are you doing that's working?
Yep.
Before we start adding even more platforms, let's maximize what you're already doing. So if you're already getting a ton of interaction on Facebook, let's just maximize that before you start TikTok.
Yep.
Especially for a lot of people who are like solopreneurs and stuff. Like, it's like you can't be everywhere all the time.
Right.
So maximize what you have before you really start investing more.
Right. We call it the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It's one of the words that we always used to say in the ad agency, the low-hanging fruit. And it's true. It's easy. So maximize that, for sure.
So what kind of advice would you have for someone who maybe has made it past that initial part, is not really into the technical part of doing their own media type stuff, and they're ready to outsource?
Okay.
What kind of things would you suggest them? Like, what should they be looking for? What should they have prepared?
That's a good question. So I had a client come to me actually with a similar issue. She was ramping up for summer sales. She's a jeweler. And said, like, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be working my butt off, making all this jewelry all summer. I need somebody to handle all my social media. I don't know what to do. So I kind of sat through, like, what you said. Okay, what are you currently doing? She wasn't doing anything. And I asked, well, what are your goals? You know, what do you want to do? What's going to move the needle for you specifically? So asking those questions about how can I help her with her business told me what I needed to do. And she just said, of course, like most clients, I need to increase revenue. Okay, so if we're going to do that, you know, what are your biggest pieces that we need to sell that's going to kind of like generate that revenue for you? So once I put all those pieces into the formula, then I say, all right, here's what we're going to do. I already did audience research for her, and I put together a content calendar. And I mean, it's probably like 101 for social media management is you have to have a content calendar to know, all right, here's what we're going to communicate, here's how often we're going to communicate, and I'm going to have my social media manager create all those posts for you and schedule them, organic and paid. So it was a social media content strategy, and I told her, like, this is my recommendation if you want to see the needle move for your revenue increase. And we started doing it, and she's loving it. It's great. She's happy that she doesn't have to worry about it. Sometimes we'll get on a call with her and say, like, hey, we need access again to your Instagram because it got disconnected because, you know, she gives us admin access. But again, she still owns everything. She trusts us to keep everything moving. And I think she's been happy with the results so far. But that's kind of how we start is tell me what your pain point is, you know, and what do you want to accomplish? And we'll figure out a way to do it for you.
Yeah, I think that's another really good point. We have like a little Facebook group, like I think every community does, and somebody posted about like, hi, I'm a small business owner. Is X a good place to advertise? Nobody even knew what her business was. Her, him, it was like an anonymous post. And I was like,
God.
then there's like all these people giving advice. And I was like, how could anyone be giving advice when you don't even know what the business is?
Oh my God.
So how, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I think she was talking about like Nextdoor or like one of those like neighborhood apps. I'm like, I have no idea. If you are trying to sell on a national level, absolutely not. Like,
Are you selling cookies? Are you
what's
selling like
going on?
medical supplies?
Anything. But don't worry, everybody in that group gave her advice.
Right, because they know. They chat GPT'd it.
Yeah. But that's where it's kind of like, you have to really, if you're working with someone, you need to work with somebody who is asking those questions.
Absolutely.
If you go to someone and they're like, okay, let's run this and this and this ad, and they don't even know what you're doing, that's probably a little bit of a red flag.
Oh, yeah.
You need somebody who's really going to look at, like we keep saying, your target audience, what you're doing. Because I know people also, when it comes to marketing and outsourcing for marketing, it can get pricey.
Yeah.
And I know people get nervous to make the investment.
Yeah.
So I think that's just something really good to look for.
Absolutely.
Anything else you can think of to really look for in a professional?
Kind of to piggyback off that, it's really, you get what you pay for. And with those who don't have as much experience, they're probably charging a lot less. So the people who were responding to that Facebook post saying, yeah, you should definitely go on Nextdoor and Facebook, they don't even know the business of what this woman is, or man or woman is trying to promote, then you don't want to hire them. But somebody who has a lot of experience or proven experience and examples, then it's totally worth the investment, I think. And also not having to pay for a full agency, let's say. Like if you have a smaller budget, then hire 1 or 2 people. You could have part-time or just as needed, like freelance, kind of like what you and I will do.
Yeah.
But I think just having a connection with that person, though, also. So if you're a small business owner and you're thinking about outsourcing, interview multiple people, not just the one person that you know. Ask a couple questions and really see what questions they ask you. Because if I'm talking to this small business owner and I'm asking good questions, they're going to see, okay, this girl knows what she's talking about, or if there's no connection or no vibe, then that's totally fine. You know, they're trying to interview me as much as I'm interviewing them, and I think just trying to have that initial connection to see if it works.
I think that marketing is kind of a personal thing too. Like you will be able to brainstorm better, you will be able to perform better when you are working with somebody who you vibe with.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're building an internal team.
Yeah.
If you interview someone and you literally have no connection, they don't fit in with your team at all, you're not going to hire them.
Right.
Because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for them or for your team.
Yeah.
So when you're outsourcing, I think that's important to think too.
Yep.
And with the higher level, it's true. You do get what you pay for. There are definitely some times when you're new, you need just someone. Yeah. And you can take advantage of somebody who is at a lower price point.
Yeah.
But you can't expect huge results from someone who's still learning too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's another thing, like the expectations.
Yes.
Especially like when you start to outsource social media and Facebook ads, it gets pricey quick.
Yeah.
And people don't always understand what all goes into it.
Right.
So I've also had, this is actually one of the reasons I started doing the consulting like I do. I've had people say, I hired someone to do my social media, and it didn't help at all. And I paid all this money.
Yeah.
They did a horrible job. But then once I started asking, I was like, okay, well, did you tell them this? Did you give them this information?
Yeah.
Oh, did you know this? And it's like, you can't, you can't use social media as your Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And you can't just hire somebody, not give them everything.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there are some social media managers, some professionals out there who aren't doing a good job.
Right.
I think you'll get that anywhere. But there are some who are doing a great job, but your expectations weren't in line with reality.
Right.
I've seen that a lot too.
Yeah. And that's just a miscommunication on both parts then.
Yeah.
Because really, you got to be asking the right questions, no assuming at all.
Yes.
I hate assuming. If I can't, I'm not a mind reader, so I need to be very clear and directive and actionable with my clients as well. Like, what is it that you need? Okay, then I need this from you in order to do that. And I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm just kind of like, let's help each other out. Because if you want me to do a good job, I need you to kind of help me, and then I'll make you look great. So.
Yeah. I think I don't know if you do this as much with your clients, but I do think another good route, if you don't have a huge budget, but you know you need some marketing help. I do this a lot with people I've worked with. I do like power hour sessions. I know Kristen, who was on another episode, she'll do some like consulting sessions.
Yeah.
Where I can help you kind of brainstorm, and I can give you resources or point you to resources where you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like the Facebook ads. I have directed a lot of people to Tara Zerker when they're not ready to hire someone to do it.
Good.
So I think that's always a helpful way to do it too, is find somebody who has either done it.
Yeah.
I know some small business owners will just consult, even if they're not like marketing professionals. They'll just kind of give resources, or find someone who does just consulting or just gives advice.
Yeah.
To get some ideas of where to go to kind of learn it yourself.
Right. And I feel like we have a good network of local people in the industry here. So, we met from Jenny, so shout out to Jenny.
Yes.
But also because of that too, we all refer each other. And we're all trying to help each other out. Small businesses helping small businesses, women helping women. And I don't think that it hurts to ask anybody any question, because we all just want to help everybody at the end of the day. We're not going to block them and say, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I want people to succeed.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if you technically talked about it, you could say we were competitors. But I feel like there's so much room for collaboration.
Yeah.
And there's another guy, I think that Jenny connected you to, with John, who also does a whole piece of marketing too.
Yeah.
But I just called him the other day because I had a client who needed help with website stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can do it, but if you're going to pay me hourly, it's going to take me longer than it's going to take someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because it was a platform I've never used before, and it's not really my expertise.
Yeah.
So there's so much room for collaboration.
And that's great that you do that too, because it's kind of like you're spreading the love
Yeah.
and helping everybody out.
Yeah, and it's good because then you know your client is getting taken care of.
Yeah.
Aside from just saying, okay, go Google it, figure it out.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this was all really, really good.
Good.
Yes, I think that everyone's going to be able to take away some actionable things from this. If they're looking into paid advertising, they can check you out.
Yes.
Do you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yes. So I am, hi everyone. Carli at buttonedup.consulting is my email address. CARLI at buttonedup.consulting. And my website is buttonedup.consulting. That's it. There's no com.
Okay.
Buttonedup.consulting.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
All right. I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
haven't
we just pulled it up
gone
a
on my
minute
website
ago.
in a long time.
Yes.
All right, good.
And I am Julia. You can find me on Instagram at Just Flourish Marketing. I am also on TikTok and Facebook at the same handle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and have a great day.
Passion, but make it profit. Simple strategy, real growth.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.